Thank you so much for tuning in to Mrs. Danielle DeVita. I am a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 13 years, and my goal is to help both men and women be in relationships that's best for them. And so I talk about all things dating, relationship, marriage, and I want you guys to learn 10 things that I've learned from my past relationships. So I'm going to go over those things right after this. Mrs. Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the when to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, she's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter. If you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making, now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't Okay, so I've learned a lot, even from my current relationship, but I want to tell you something that I've learned from past relationships that helped me be the wife that I am in my current relationship. The first thing that I've learned from past relationships is learn how to state what I want. A lot of times we're in relationships and we are afraid that this vibe, that this thing that we have going is going to sizzle, it's going to go away after we say what we want, because we're afraid that the other person may not want what we want. But I've learned that if you don't state what you want, you're not going to get it. Ask and you shall receive, for those who are my faith-based viewers. So I will say that it is so important that if you want marriage, if you want commitment, if you want a relationship, if you want something casual, if you don't want anything and you just want to just first get to know this person, if you want to slow down, if you want things to move along more so, state what you want. If the other person doesn't want it, then that's fine. But that's better than you pretending like they want it and then they don't, and you come to find out and you're upset. State what you want, and then when you find out the person wants it, then you'll be relieved. And if you find out they don't want it, then you'll still be relieved, because now you can relieve yourself from that relationship and be with someone who's interested in the same things that you want. How sad is it to go in this relationship, spend months and months and months, and realize they say, oh, I didn't know you wanted this because you didn't tell me, or I don't want this, and you're devastated. I don't want that for you. So what I've learned is state what you want. The second thing I've learned is don't assume. Don't assume that the other person wants what you want. Don't, in situations where there's conflict, don't assume what the other person is thinking. In all things, don't make assumptions. You know, that's something that you'll learn even in your current relationship. Don't make assumptions. Ask. What is it that you're thinking? What is it that you want? What is it that you don't want? Don't assume, right? Once you get to know a person, then you may be able to predict certain things, but it's best that especially when there's conflict, don't make assumptions. Don't jump to conclusions. Ask what they want. There's a saying, assuming makes an A out of you and me, and you definitely don't want to do that. So make sure you ask the other person, what is it they're thinking? What is it they want? Instead of trying to read their mind, and you could be wrong, right? The third thing I learned is trust your judgment, right? So I had to learn to trust my judgment. Another term for that is trust my intuition, because there's times when I said, this doesn't feel right. This does not seem right, but I still do it. I still go into that relationship thinking it's my insecurities and my fear, but I was right all along. So I'm saying, if you're in a relationship and if you had a past relationship and you knew like this wasn't right and you still did it, and then you realize, the consequences of you continuing on ignoring your intuition and judgment, it is like aching at you, wishing that you've never done that. I've been there, I've done that. I've even had a video where I talked about things that how I've overlooked my intuition. I have known to have discernment, Greek discernment. I get visions sometimes, and I sometimes have ignored it because it can be scary, especially depending on how you receive it. Maybe it's a letter that you're afraid to open. Maybe it's an email or a voicemail you're afraid to listen to. Maybe it's your friend is trying to tell you something and you lash out instead of receiving it. And in the long run, it's going to hurt you because you're afraid to hear the truth. You're afraid for what it is that you think you already know. You're afraid to check this person's phone or see what they're doing, but your intuition, your gut is saying something's not right. If you are, a man and she's not doing right and you're just afraid, so you kind of ignore your friends and your parents and things that are people saying, hey, something's not right with her. Right? If you're a woman, something's not right with him. You're hearing these things, you're seeing the signs, and you guys ignore it. I've been there. So what I've learned is to trust my judgment. Now, if you're someone who does not make good decisions, you have poor decision-making skills, you don't have good judgment and character and people and integrity, and you yourself don't have those things, work on that. But your gut is usually, whether you're a good person or not, his gut is going to tell you something's not right. Even people who are doing illicit means, they kind of feel funny, like, hey, is this person a police officer? Is this person out to get me? Is this person out to rob me? A lot of times people have that intuition, and if you're faith-based, they have this Holy Spirit that's telling you what's right, what's not, what doesn't seem good in this situation. It seems funny, and it's a feeling that you're getting that although your logic may not be saying otherwise, the logic is presenting that everything is good here, but you feel that something's wrong. Judgment can be whether it's rooted in logic or your gut feeling. I still think that you should learn to trust yourself, but the more you can do that is the more you going through these situations and actually trusting yourself. So it's only a learning by doing. These are one of these things you have to do it, trust, and then assess, did I make a good judgment? And then where you failed in those decisions, then see where you ignore certain signs, certain red flags that could have told you, no, you were right the first time you sensed it, but you second guessed yourself, right? What I've also learned is number 4, do not move too fast. Sometimes we like to move fast in a relationship because everything is good, everything's hot and popping, and you want to keep it going. But sometimes it's good to slow down so you can assess the situation. It's situational awareness. You want to be aware of what's happening around you. Who's moving too fast? Is it you moving too fast, or is the person moving too fast? Sometimes that's not a good thing. I've talked about love bombing. I'm not saying anyone who is, moving fast and loving on you is love bombing. But what I am saying is the only way you're going to know if it's love bombing or not is there going to be certain signs. Are they forcing movement? Do you feel like you're moving at an uncomfortable rate than they want you to? So a love bombing is not going to be something that just sneaks up on you. It may appear like it is, but it's usually other signs. So someone is pushing it. Think about when you watch movies and the police are trying to do a sting, and they're working with someone and a person is like, something don't feel right, because they don't know if that person's police. They can't trust that person. Maybe the CI brings on someone who is really the police officer, and they're like, hey, get it on the pop and come on. They're trying to hurry up and do the sting, and you're like, this doesn't feel right. And they're saying, I thought you wanted that money. And you may go, yeah, but you're feeling reluctant. It's not like you're on and popping and they're just there and they're just doing this thing. So sometimes love bombing can be like that. You really feel like it's moving too fast. You're not sure. You're not ready. And they're pushing it. And I think that sometimes when we just up and running and say, fine, yeah, I'll go with the moment, we ignore certain signs. Well, we are doing things we're not ready. The person is, we're moving so fast that we were not able to see that red, sign. And it's just like when you're driving in a car. If you're driving too fast, you can easily miss a stop sign if you're not going the speed limit. You can overlook it. You can overlook a red light. You can miss people walking and doing this because you're going too fast. Slow down where you can truly assess, is someone about to turn out, right? So this is how it is in relationships. Take the time, slow down, assess the situation. Take the time to listen to them more instead of you doing the talking. right? So situational awareness is important. Every time you go out, every time you go somewhere, figure out where you're going and why you're going here. Is this person taking you around his friends? Is he taking you away from people? Is he pushing you away from your friends and family and support system? Is this woman pushing you away from family and friends? There are women who are pushing men away from their children. Trying to take more of their time than their children or their job, and they want to be number one, but at a negative, in a negative way. So they're not trying to just get more time, they're trying to suck all the time and attention he is even directing anywhere else and towards her only. So what I've learned is to make sure I slow down and watch and see what's happening. This gives you that sound judgment that you're going to need, like when I said in 3, learning to trust yourself. But you can't do that when you're moving too fast, where you're not able to see signs or smoke signals that's telling you this ain't it. All right. So number 5, I've learned from my past relationships is to look into the future, not just the here and now. It's nice to live in the moment, right? YOLO, you only live once, right? But you want to make sure, is this the person that I can see as my wife? Is this the person I can see as my husband? That's what you want to see. So although everything is fun now, the thrill is great, how, other than this person's attraction, how do you see this person? Do you see yourself having kids with this person? Do you see yourself having a beautiful home with this person? Do you see yourself happy consistently with this person? Do you see, love in the air? Or do you just see, right here now we're having fun? It's just all fun. A lot of times we overlook the future. We're just looking at the here and now, and we didn't realize, you know what? These things that bothered me now, 10 years from now, they are going to get on my nerves, because although he's a thrill seeker and likes to do things by the moment, he never has a plan for anything. She never has a plan for anything. Although she's cute now, and so what? She doesn't do anything. But 10 years from now, do I want a woman laying around the house? She is so kept that she don't do anything. She offers nothing except her beauty. She doesn't offer her intellect, her love, her support. She just offers her beauty and her body to me. Is this what you want in the future? So I've learned that, yes, this person may be great now, but how are they going to be as a husband to me? How are they going to be as a father? Do they even have a patience to be a father, the patience to be a husband? Because it takes patience if you're going to have a wife, right? So yes, just like we need patience with y'all going to need patience and grace with us. So if you don't have those signs now, I think that, if you're seeing these signs as a man or a woman in your partner, think, do I want to be with them? Is this the person I want to be with? Because if not, you're wasting your time being with them just for the here and now. You should find someone that you can build and see a future with. It's so important. So the 6th thing that I've learned in a relationship is to weigh my pros and cons. Society makes us feel like we can't weigh our pros and cons in a relationship because it's just weird, right? But I've learned that when I do that, I can assess the strength and this partner that I like, and I can assess their weaknesses. Are my weaknesses material to the relationship? Is it something that's just, I don't like it because, it's a preference thing? Or is it a standard? Is it truly a fundamental issue? So I like that I can weigh my pros and cons, because then it helps me make sound judgment. This is how you also make sound judgment, is by looking at pros and cons and seeing which one's material, which means important to the relationship, detrimental to the health of the relationship. So I want to make sure I weigh my pros and cons. Some people can do it in their head, and some people, it may be best to write it on pen and paper and then say, hey, even if your list for pros are short and your cons are long, you still want to look to see, are the cons material to the relationship? If there are preferences and fluff, but the 5 things that are pros are strong, like character, integrity, this person is loving, this person is humble, this person is ambitious and go-getter, if they have good work ethic, these are high quality things. So even if there's only 5 of these things, it may outweigh a lot of the bad things, depending on how immaterial the bad things are. So if they're trivial, petty things, then that this is going to outweigh the long list of bad things. What if the bad things are, very toxic and unhealthy, very toxic, right? Then you may want to say, hey, we need to have a conversation, because I do think it's always good to revisit and have conversations about things that are hurting the relationship, right? So that's what I've learned, to weigh my pros and cons. That also gives me sound judgment. Now, I'm one who's very analytical, so this is something that I have to do. You may just want to look to see, weigh it in your head and say, hey, I like this and this and this about a person. But the things that are standards, what's a con that's hurting a standard of a belief that I have? And then if those things are attacking some of those standards and beliefs, then you can just address it from there. That's what we call deal breakers. The seventh thing that I learned is don't give into societal pressure. A lot of times we have pressure from society saying we must, do this at a certain time, whether it's intercourse, whether it's kissing, whether it's doing whatever it is that society is saying we should be doing in a relationship. And, you should be moving in, you should do this, you should do that. As I said, you don't want to move too fast. Do things when you're ready. If you're not ready, that's fine. That's great that you're not ready. If you're not ready, then you don't move forward. That's great that you understand and listen to your body when you're not ready. But it's also important to communicate that with your partner. Don't leave your partner, him or her, in the dark. So you want to say, hey, you know what? I'm not ready for this right now. I'm not ready to move fast. However, I do think it's best to give someone some type of timeline, not just be all willy-nilly. You want to have some timeline, because people aren't going to wait all day. Just like a job. If a job says, hey, I don't think you're ready for this promotion, but you do want a timeline. How sad is it for a job to never give you a timeline? They just keep saying you're not ready. So you want to give some type of attainable goal. Hey, right now I'm not ready, but I'll let you know when. Or this was what will make me feel comfortable if we discuss these things that are sensitive to the relationship. The eighth thing that I learned is how to move on from a relationship. It's so important to know when to move on, because if you're staying in a relationship that's not best for you, then you're losing out on people who are great for you, but you're not available. You're with someone who does not care for you, does not respect you, that you don't trust, or that does not trust you. Whatever the situation is, you're wasting time with people who do not deserve your time, energy, love, or body. And you could be with someone who does. This could be your husband, this could be your wife. So don't waste time with people who are not going to respect all of you. And I truly think that it's hard for many people to move on. You don't want to let go. You feel like it's an investment, but that's where the pros and cons is. Is this an investment, or has this investment now become a lost stock? So that's what you have to understand. Is your stock going down? Is it rising? What is it? Is it always doing this? And you don't want that either. So I truly think that you need to figure out, do you have an investment? Is this something worth investing in, or should you just count your losses and move on? And for me, I can tell you, I am so glad I moved on from past relationships, because I would not be in the marriage that I am today. Number 9, which is gonna be, I'm gonna move that along with 10, but number 9 is learn how to heal. And then number 10 is learn how to love again. So those things are kind of equally important, because you can't love until after you've healed. So I've learned how to heal, and how you heal is, part of that is after you move on, you learn, you know what, either you need therapy, or you need to speak to someone, or you need to figure out why you're feeling the way you feel. Why is it hard for you to let go? And once you address whatever issues that may be resulting from that past relationship or trauma, then you can healthily heal and move on. Again, there's nothing wrong with therapy, life coaching, and things like that. Once you do that, it makes it easy to love that person, or love a new person again, right? You can move on from the old person and love and have your heart open for someone else, because it's hard to be open when it's clogged with a lot of trauma and drama from your past relationships. So these are the 10 things that I've learned from my past relationships, and I would not be in my current relationship had I not learned these things. So I hope that they can help you too. So thank you so much for tuning into Mrs. Danielle DeVita. To learn more about my content, you can go to mrsdanielledevita.com. You can also see me on other social media platforms, which I am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, of course. So go ahead and subscribe, follow me. All these things are free. This also, you liking and putting a comment also helps get my information out there in the algorithm. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. To get one of my books that are already out, I have 2 other that will be coming out soon. Girl, Go Get Your Husband, and Boy, Bye. So that'll be for women, and the others for teenage girls. They'll be coming out later on, but the one that I have out now is Command Respect from the Woman You Want. This is a great way to get a woman's respect from a woman's perspective. I promise you, you will not, have to push away your masculinity. This will help you reclaim your masculinity while still getting this woman to respect you, getting her to submit to you the same way I do for my husband. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.